they ripped the money away from Brian Kelly at LSU. Did they fire him because of something else? Did they have dirt on him? A post that was posted and then deleted was very interesting, and Sports Illustrated picked up on it. It was a person who put out, from his sources with very close ties to the LSU athletic department, Brian Kelly settled his buyout for $30 million less than was actually owed to him, and the university used the morals code in his contract. Was there dirt that was on Brian Kelly's resume or something that they knew that they were holding against him to make it easier to make this move? It's a lot easier to tell a guy you can go away for $30 million less than he is to be owed.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's still going to get almost $30 million to walk away if you believe that's what the story is going. I'd like to know what, if anything, you could use as a morals clause, because let's be real, Brian Kelly has not been seen as the most well-liked coach. You had the unfortunate incident at Notre Dame where a student was up on a scissor lift filming practice in 55-mile-an-hour winds, and the scissor lift fell over, and the kid unfortunately lost his life. There's videos of Brian Kelly losing his mind on a sideline. That part I just chalk up to football. I've watched football coaches lose their mind on the sideline and screaming at other coaches and players and everything else. But if there's a morals cause and that's a thing, something had to be found behind there.
Now, LSU has not officially said exactly what was owed and what the numbers are. So clearly this was done quick, fast, and in a hurry. And, you know, Brian Kelly certainly is good with it. No indications that he's going to be suing or putting his agent or his lawyers on the school for more money.
Do you guys think he coaches again?
I don't think he's done. I don't know. You've been saying this for the last 2 weeks. He was never a fit.
No, he didn't fit culturally
in the LSU community. Could he go to Penn State? Yeah.
But would Penn State fire a James Franklin and hire almost a carbon copy?
No, they will want a spark. They will want a Lane Kiffin. They will want a Dabo, somebody like that of that ilk.
Penn State is a fascinating job, Finn, to me, because you fired a James Franklin and you were always good. You were 9-10 win good every year. Their goal now is to be 11-12 national title good. I don't know that coach exists. Could they pry Dabo Swinney from Clemson?
Why does it have to be Dabo Swinney? Why can't it be Buster Faulkner or one of these guys that we don't know a lot about that has an unbelievable offense that runs a great program and guys buy into it and everything else? I think you guys.
I think because you're now going to have to sell a fan base on we've upgraded, and could Buster Faulkner be that guy? Could. I don't know, insert John Sumrall at Tulane. Could he be that guy? Sure. Maybe he could. Maybe the coach at North Texas whose team scores 1 million points. Could he? Yeah. But can Penn State sell that? Can Penn State say, hey, we just fired a coach with a 74% winning percentage who had us in the college football semifinals, and now we're going to bring in a group of 5 guys?
Some programs can afford to take the unknown of a Buster Faulkner that hasn't been a head coach. When you are an established program and you just fired a coach, you want somebody with a resume. You want somebody who,
can LSU go that route? Could LSU go hire a group of 5
What does a resume
coaches?
mean? A resume is about how you've done at the job you're working at for however long, and regardless of what school or company you're at. If you've been successful at what you do,
what does that mean?
Now because I'm Penn State or LSU, I have to hire somebody that's been there before.
Matt Rule is successful. If you look at him, I don't think he should be the coach of Penn State. If you look at what he's doing.
I guess my thing is there are certain programs like Florida, and I'm going to use them. Can they go back to the group of 5 route? They hired Billy Napier, who was really successful at Louisiana, a group of 5 coach. He got to Florida, and the job was too big for him. I think that's my point. Like, when you're paying an inordinate buyout, you're paying $50+ million. Are you paying $50 million to hire an up-and-comer, somewhat unknown, or do you need to go swing for the fences?
I don't know what the right answer is or wrong answer is. We have to come up with examples of guys that have been hired. Kirby Smart was never a head coach in college football.
Sure.
But he was an unbelievable defensive coordinator and worked for one of the greatest guys to ever do it. So you hire Kirby, who was at your school, who went to your school and was a graduate, an alumni, and it worked out.
And maybe those are different, because Dan Lanning, same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Great coordinator. And that's
Brent Venables.
But
never been a head coach.
But it hasn't really worked at Oklahoma. I mean, let's be real. It hadn't worked at Oklahoma.
You're picking one spot. We just talked about 2 other spots that's worked unbelievably well.
Will Muschamp didn't work as a head coach. Great defensive coordinator. Didn't work. So there's give and take with both of those.
Yeah, there's an interview process, and if you can't lay your eyes on somebody, talk to them, interview them, have the search squad or whatever they do, go back and dig through their stuff and understand if a guy is capable of being a leader of men and a head coach, then
and I think that's when it goes back to something we were talking about yesterday. There might not be enough big-name coaches for all these opportunities.
There's another caveat, too, and coming up, a coach talks about that. Nobody has time anymore, and a coach is tired of it. Plus, you don't want to touch or kiss or do anything with this animal that's on the loose. We'll get to that when we return here in the locker room. 6 o'clock hour brought to you by Right From the Heart. Sign up and receive daily devotionals by email at rightfromtheheart.org. It's the locker room, the Fan, 680, 93.7 FM. To the locker room on the Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM. You're home for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Excuse me, the 8-0 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They try to go to 9-0 Saturday night, 7:30 kick downtown Raleigh, North Carolina, when they face the Wolfpack of NC State. And you can hear all of the action right here on the Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM. Don't forget, 8:20 this morning, D. Orlando Ledbetter, beat writer for the AJC, will join us to talk about what in the world is going on.
Thank you, Brandon Hometeam League.
Shout out to D-Led.
Thanks for having me on the locker room.
We'll have you on at 8:20, D-Led. And
love y'all.
Try to figure out what in the world is going on or not going on with the Atlanta Falcons. We were just talking about what happens with these coach openings around college football. There are going to be more because we don't know who's going to get whacked at the end of the season. So there could be double-digit job openings around college football. And now with the college football playoff, money's handed out to coaches. Coaches just don't have as much time as they used to. And Coach Prime was asked about some of the openings in the firing of Brian Kelly. And he was saying, as a coach, it is just a different world in today's college football landscape.
How do we exude patience when we could call up right now and get a pizza delivered right here? That you could call and get a ride waiting outside for you. Everything is expeditious in this country. Everyone wants the quick fix, the quick things. You got mail order brides too, right? You get married
on the hall,
right away. You could get a BBL. You could come in here flat as I don't know what, and leave thick as a Snicker. So this is a different country that we live in, man. Ain't nobody got no patience no more.
Down the hall.
So there used to be a time in college football you got 5 years. And it would be, okay, the first year, you're weeding out the old guys. The second year, you're starting to get your team in. Third year, they're young. By the fourth and fifth year, you should be winning and competing for stuff.
I don't think that's crazy.
But now, you can't operate that way today. With the transfer portal, you're supposed to come in and hit the ground running.
You absolutely can't operate that way. It is about building a program. You can't operate that way,
okay.
and your fan base has to be willing to deal with it, and the president and everybody else that's involved.
But that's the problem. They're not willing to deal with it, and I think that's Deion's point. What program is willing to say, all right, we're going to step back for 4 or 5 years to get it built? When I watch Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State go to the playoffs in year 2.
Well, the flip side of that is, Brian Kelly signs a 10-year, $95 million deal. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money. Yeah, you come in the first couple of years, there's going to be some transfer situations. You got to figure out how to get your program off and running. The other side of that is, if you're getting paid $95 million to be one of 12.
Right, you damn sure better be.
How are you not 12th in the country when you have a contract? There are expectations that come along with monies to that degree. So there's a monetary component, there's an impatient component, but there's also, it's not you have to be the best of 4 or the BCS, the best of 2. You have an opportunity to be the best of 12.
Right.
And if your season is over before week 9 shows up, you should be in a little bit of trouble.
There's unrealistic expectations for these coaches and these teams. Unfortunately, it just is what it is. You have these great coaches that have come before them, and then you expect them to be the same thing as they go, and then you're paying ridiculous money to guys to do that. And once it goes sideways for a season, you lose your mind, and now you got to fire everybody. So it's a tough business to be in, especially at those big schools you guys are talking about that are expected to be in the playoffs and in the top 25 and everything else. It's just...
Look, with it going to 12 and you're at an LSU, you're at a Penn State, you're at Clemson, Georgia. You should be in the college football playoffs 3 out of every 4 years. That is the expectation of these schools.
You just mentioned how many teams, and 4 out of the 5 you mentioned aren't going to be in the playoff.
Right, and that's why those guys are firing coaches. They're looking. Brian Kelly this was 3.5 years, never sniffed the playoffs. Never. Wasn't going to make it this year. They were eliminated last week in embarrassing fashion.
Right.
And when you're paying $9.5 million a year, I don't blame these schools. Now, where I blame them is you should not give out these ridiculous contracts. The problem is if you don't, the next guy will. We were talking about Lane Kiffin during the break. He's going to have 3 schools probably offer him north of $12 million a year. 3 different schools. The one he's at, Florida and LSU. If he doesn't work out and make the playoffs 3 or 4 years from now and he goes to LSU, guess what? He's going to be in the same situation as Brian Kelly.
He just told us this week that he cannot win a national title at Ole Miss.
No, he can't.
You're going to increase his salary to $11 and $12 million because you just want to keep him around to win 9 or 10 games?
Yes, because at Ole Miss.
That's a weird, strange way to work.
At Ole Miss, this is the best they've ever been. Maybe since Archie Manning was there.
They're relevant. Yeah. They're winning. They're relevant. Lane Kiffin's offense works. He's able to recruit quarterbacks. He's had 3 quarterbacks. When you talk about Jackson Dart, Austin Simmons, who gets hurt, and now Trinidad Chambliss, who's working better than Austin Simmons, who got hurt. They have a culture now, and they are where they have wanted to be for a long time. Relevant, just as good as anybody else in the SEC, and a shot to go to the playoff. That's building a program.
No doubt. In the last 2 years, they've shown you that they can be a team that should be there and belongs there, and they're playing up to it. And all of a sudden, they lose. He loses a game for some reason and misses the playoff, or loses the first game in the playoff, and there's going to be an uprising. Because
I don't think so.
Okay.
Now, if they lose to Kentucky like they did last year, or they lose to Florida like they did last year, and those are the 2 teams that knocked them out of the playoffs, people are going to get upset, and he's going to kind of fall in that same realm that he had been in the past. Good coach, but can't get over the hump against some average teams. It feels like this year he's gotten past that. It feels like this year they've got a different type of ball club, specifically on the offensive side, that can really compete with anybody. But the point to that is LSU's wanting to get to the playoffs. Florida wants to get back to having above 500 seasons. I mean, Florida's been sub 5. I know they finished 8-5 last year, but it's like 3 of the last 4 years they've been under 500. They want somebody like Lane Kiffin to come in and save them and excite their fan base. They've had one of the most boring offenses 4 years of Billy Napier ever.
Well, without a doubt, this is a Lane Kiffin world after Penn State lets go of James Franklin. He can stay, get more money at Ole Miss. He can go to LSU. He can go to Florida. He can do whatever he wants to do and set him up for life.
I ask you, to Dion's point, how much patience would you have with the coach? Just say you sign Lane Kiffin 10 years and $120 million, because that's about what it's going to cost.
Right.
How long do you give him to have you in the playoffs and competing? How long does he get?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, Lane Kiffin?
Yeah.
At where?
He goes to Florida right now and gets 10 for 120. How
you got to give him at least 2 years to build a roster like he wants to build it. And then in the 3rd year, you would, I think, hope that you sniff the playoffs or be in it. And then after 4, yeah, I mean, the whole thing is nuts. I think more than anything, it's the mindset of the people that are in and around the SEC and the ACC that just have no patience for anything and expect to be at the top of the world all the time. And when it's not, you cry and get on Twitter and berate coaches and get blocked and
the job
everything else. It's just a crazy mindset. It's a sick fan base all over the place where there's. For a while, there was only 4 teams that made it to the promised land, and now you get 12, and you still think you should be there all the time. I mean, how many SEC teams are supposed to be in the playoff?
They think about 6.
Right. You're going to get 3 or 4 most of the time if you're lucky. And how many SEC teams are there now? 100,
16,
18, 16?
Yeah.
So,
but not
everybody in the SEC is going to make it, man.
The job description has changed. It used to be develop, build the program. Now it's to win.
graduate players.
It's just
Nobody
a win.
cares about that anymore.
It makes it worse that there are 12 teams now because everybody thinks, how can't we be one of 12? How come we can't be 12? How come we can't be 11 is how fan bases think, and now how people are paid to get to those numbers. How are you not? And I don't think that's completely unfair. How are you not?
It's
if you're
ridiculous.
LSU?
It's totally unfair.
What do you
it's
mean ridiculous?
impossible. It's 12 out of 136 teams.
It's
or
12 out of, it's 12
minimize
out
it
of
to
30.
60.
No. Yeah.
It's 12
that's
out
it?
of 30.
Maybe 20.
Yeah, there's not. The bottom 70, no
Nice.
offense to any of them.
Yeah,
they
Georgia
have-
Tech was that team you're talking about, and all of a sudden they're 8-0.
Okay.
All right.
For the first time in how long?
All right, exactly. So it just happens. You got to play football. You got to coach. You got to buy into a program. You got to build it. It's not always going to work out like you guys want it to. It's just the whole mindset is just crazy.
And this is not a knock on Georgia Tech. Is Georgia Tech Florida or LSU? Is Georgia Tech? My point to that is those programs spend infinitely more money than anybody else. They just do. Their facilities, we've all been to Georgia. We've walked around there. It's a cathedral. Those schools, when they're pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into a program, they expect to be one of those 12. And it's going to expand to 16 in the next couple of years.
It's going to make it worse.
And they're going to say, okay, if I can't be one of the 16 and I'm paying you $10 million and I've invested $500 million into our program, I don't want you here.